Hey, it's Mark Bergin from Bleav in Steelers. Quick podcast because it's a shortened week. The Pittsburgh Steelers are playing on Thursday Night Football on the road in Week 12 against the Cleveland Browns. Back-to-back AFC North Division games as we're less than 2 weeks away from the start of Hard Knocks in season. So we're going to get you ready for Steelers and Browns in Week 12. And going to go through some key stats from the Steelers season, go through the Steelers injury report, and then we'll get you ready for Week 12. But before we do, today's episode of Bleav in Steelers is brought to you by BetOnline.ag. Get in on the Week 12 action. There's NBA, there's NHL, any sport you want to bet on. BetOnline.ag is the place to do it. Head over to BetOnline.ag today. BetOnline, the game starts here. My name is Mark Bergin. Welcome into the Bleav in Steelers show. Pittsburgh favored by 3.5. That's according to betonline.ag for Thursday night's road game in Cleveland. So Pittsburgh at 3.5. The over-under for Thursday's game is 36 points combined for both of those teams. Let's go through some key stats for the Steelers season that have defined 2024 for Pittsburgh. And I'm going to start with how does Pittsburgh improve its red zone efficiency. The Steelers scored 3 field goals on their 4 red zone attempts in Week 11 against the Baltimore Ravens. And Russell Wilson threw an interception to Marlon Humphrey, while the Steelers won the turnover battle 3-1. You want to see Darnell Washington, the intended receiver, try to go up and get it. But more importantly, how does Pittsburgh improve its red zone efficiency? Because going into Week 12, the Steelers have a 44.44% chance of scoring a touchdown in the red zone. That's 30th in the league. Only Dallas and the New York Giants are behind the Steelers. So that's first and foremost, that's where you start. Let's get in the red zone and go even deeper in opponent territory. And let's talk about a stat Alan Saunders found. I want to give him credit too. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields both have led 11 drives inside an opponent's 10-yard line. Wilson has 4 touchdowns and 5 field goals. That's 3.9 yards a drive. Fields has 8 touchdowns and 1 field goal. That's 5.4 yards per drive. I think the Steelers could end up using Fields in the red zone later on in the season when it's really critical. You saw Pittsburgh design a package for Fields against Baltimore in key moments late in that game when they needed to pick up a first down on the ground. Fields forces a defense to play an honest 11 on 11 given his mobility. I think you end up seeing more of those packages later on in the season, maybe when you're vying for home field advantage, and then even once you get into the playoffs as well. If you're Pittsburgh, look for that in the coming weeks. I'm not sure we'll see that, say, Thursday night against the Browns on a shortened week, but look for that Justin Fields package in the red zone for the Steelers to score touchdowns and not settle for field goals. Now, what's been the difference, though, between Wilson and Fields in the 2024 season? And I've said it just because you can see it with your 2 eyes. It's the ability that Wilson has and the rapport that he has of getting George Pickens the football. Pickens, the best offensive player for the Steelers by far on this team. The third-year wideout is averaging 91 yards per game with Wilson. That is up for 60.5 yards per game with Fields at quarterback. So Wilson has a better rapport with George Pickens. That's been the biggest difference in this offense in Wilson's 4 starts, and he's 4-0 in those starts. But Fields played well, getting the Pittsburgh Steelers off to a 4-2 start. But that's been the thing that's really sparked this offense is Wilson's rapport with George Pickens. Mike Tomlin, as good a coach as there is in the league, with 1 more win, will have 18 seasons of at least 500 football. The Steelers over-under at the start of the year with BetOnline was 8.5. I told you to hammer the over, but it's a stat that we need to continue to keep track of. And I got to give Alex Kozora over at Steelers Depot a shout out for this one. Since Mike Tomlin took over in 2007, no team has a higher winning percentage in 1-score games during that span than the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers under Tomlin in 1-score games have won 61% of their games. They are 5-2 this season in 1-score games. It's credit to Mike Tomlin. It's a credit to coaching. And we could talk about another huge stat coming from special teams. Chris Boswell hit 6 field goals against the Ravens. He's now done that 4 times in his career if you count the postseason as well, 3 times in the regular season. And that set an NFL record. There are 6 other kickers who have 2 games of 6 field goals or more. But Chris Boswell setting the record, and I'd imagine you'll find out today when you're listening to this recording that Chris Boswell has been named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. And on the flip side of that, too, in Week 11, you're not going to see Justin Tucker miss 2 field goals in a game, hardly ever. Dating back to the 2012 season when he came into the league, there have only been 5 times in Justin Tucker's career where he's missed 2 field goals in a game. And it's the reason why he's a 5-time All-Pro kicker. He will be a Hall of Fame player when it's all said and done, among the best kickers in all of football. That's Justin Tucker for the Ravens. You're not going to see that again. The Steelers take advantage, and they beat the Ravens 18-16 in Week 11. But looking ahead to Week 12, the Steelers injury report. Some good news there because Corey Trice Jr., full participant in practice on Tuesday, was also a full participant on Monday. He's working his way back, get some more depth at the cornerback position. The one guy I don't expect to play is Alex Highsmith. Remains out with the ankle injury. And listening to Mike Tomlin's media availability earlier this week, it doesn't sound like Highsmith's going to play. So Nick Herbig will continue to get reps. He had a forced fumble against the Ravens. And then Preston Smith will continue to provide depth for the Pittsburgh Steelers, along with TJ Watt, obviously, at the edge rushing position. But practicing fully, Najee Harris, TJ Watt, I mentioned Trice, Michael Pruitt, the tight end. So other than Highsmith, things are looking okay for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, they aren't very good this season, and they've had pretty much the opposite of how things have gone for the Steelers. But there's really 2 guys that you got to know where they're at on the field. Nick Chubb on offense, you got to know where 24 is, and then Myles Garrett. 2 guys that are game wreckers. And Cleveland this season, it's incredible. They've lost 2 in a row coming into this game. And they've lost 7 of their last 8 games. So Cleveland at the bottom of the division at 2-8, having a really rough season. You're going to get some volatility with Jameis Winston where he can light up a scoreboard. He'll pass the ball for a ton of yardage, but he's also prone and susceptible to throwing interceptions. So can you take advantage of that? And could a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick get his first takeaway since the end of the 2022 season? That's something I'm looking at headed into this Browns game because they traded away Amari Cooper, remember. But Jerry Jeudy's a solid receiver, but really it's Chubb on offense, and then on defense, Myles Garrett. You got to make sure that Dan Moore Jr. gets some help. I know he has familiarity with Myles Garrett, well aware of that. Myles Garrett, and Mike Tomlin even said this earlier this week in his availability, that in passing down situations, you're not going to put up any player one-on-one against Myles Garrett just for what he brings to the table at the edge rushing position. No, a lot of Steelers fans want to point out, well, TJ Watt's much better than Myles Garrett. I get it. I understand it. But Myles Garrett is a really, really solid player. We'll see what happens Thursday night on Amazon. Again, Steelers and Browns. So back-to-back division games for the Steelers, and then they'll get some rest before Week 13. So shortened week for both of these teams. Just wanted to give you a quick preview. Again, hope you enjoyed this quick version of the Bleav in Steelers show to get you ready for Thursday night football. Going to be a big matchup, shortened week, and really excited to see, can the Steelers go and win their 6th consecutive game? Because at this point, you're playing for playoff positioning and home field advantage in the AFC. It's going to be a big one come Thursday night. If you enjoyed listening to the show, go leave us a 5-star review on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button to the Mark Bergin YouTube channel. Also, I want to thank today's presenting sponsor, BetOnline. They make this show possible. And I want to thank you, the listeners and the viewers of the Bleav in Steelers show. My name is Mark Bergin. I'll be on this channel with post-game reaction. We'll see how late Thursday night's game goes. I'm planning to go live after the game, but if it's too late, I'll be posting immediately come Friday morning. So look for my post-game reaction to Thursday night Steelers and Browns here on the Bleav in Steelers show. My name's Mark Bergin. Enjoy NFL Week 12. Steelers, Browns should be a good one Thursday night. I'll see you next time, and I'll see you after the game. Until then, take care and so long, everybody.